Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box, but I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope, and I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome into the SportsGrid Network. This is the Early Line on a Monday, and it's an armchair quarterback Monday. My goodness, wild card weekend was exactly that. It was absolutely wild. Teams holding on in the final moments of games, comeback victories, falters at the finish line like my Philadelphia Eagles, and a lot more to go over today on a Monday. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranieri, and for 2 hours, we're going to get you caught up for exactly everything that happened over the weekend with a football focus today, because why? We still have a Monday Night Football game to finish off wild card weekend with the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe. We're on deck. We got to be there for the people.
Emphasis on wild in wild card weekend, because it was out of control. A lot of unexpected this past weekend, and maybe another unexpected result tonight.
Absolutely. And the Green Bay Packers, for me, was one of my favorite bets of the entire week. Oh, it was a party all the way through till the final moments of that game. I'm caffeinated. I didn't even have any coffee. Here's the best topic of the day, brought to you by Joe Ranieri.
Oh, well, you're going to love this then, Donnie, because it is the Monday after wild card weekend. And, well, now seems like a good time for a welfare check on one fan base that is probably still beside themselves after their team lost this past weekend. And while a few teams and their fans certainly have reason to be mad, yes, Eagle fans, I hear you. But I think we really, Donnie, need to check the pulse of the Green Bay Packer fan base this morning. Are you guys okay? Because you shouldn't be. And we can talk about the Eagles, right, and their choke job there. We can talk about the Chargers not showing up, sure. But my goodness, the choke of the wild card weekend belongs to the Green Bay Packers. How? And I mean, how do you lose to the Bears, a team that you have owned forever? You were up 21-3 at halftime. You were leading by double digits entering the fourth quarter. And get this, Donnie, for quite a while here now, NFL teams leading by at least 15 points entering the fourth. Yeah, 102-2. Yeah, and Matt LaFleur somehow managed to become part of that two losers club there on that record. And don't blame the injuries. And I know Micah Parsons tore his ACL. I know Tucker Kraft is out. Yeah. This loss was 100% on the guy wearing the headset. Because let's talk about that 4-minute offense he ran. You have the lead. You have the balls. The Bears are out of timeouts. All you have to do is run the clock, Donnie. All you got to do is move the chains, get a couple first downs, the game's over. But what does Matt LaFleur do? He starts dialing up deep shots. He's calling out routes that send receivers out of bounds. He essentially handed the Bears free timeouts on a silver platter. In fact, one coach said after the game was like sending a ball boy over to the Bears sideline with a gift basket that said, Happy New Year, here's the ball back. And now the Packers are going home for the offseason. And they are stuck, Donnie. They are staring down the barrel of a lame duck season. He's in the final year of his deal. Do you really want to waste another year of Jordan Love on a coach who seems to just panic in the worst times in the biggest stages? Look at the market. John Harbaugh is available, but instead, Green Bay is likely going to run it back with LaFleur and hope the injuries heal, and then hope somehow he's able to learn how to read a clock. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, you know the rest, Donnie. Packers fans, it's going to be a long off season. But, Donnie, the good news is at least they're not Eagles fans.
Yeah, hey, watching the Eagles yesterday, it was one of those seasons where they won the division, went into the playoffs with a home game, and it was exhausting all the way through, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. Here's the early lineup. We're going to talk right away. George Kittle, one of the best players in professional football, including the tight end position, had one catch for 6 yards. That 6-yard catch ended his season and probably next year's season. A torn Achilles for George Kittle, but yet the 49ers still battled after that. Kittle, he's got a long battle to come back healthy now.
Yeah, that's just such an unfortunate situation. Watching it happen too, getting carted off the field, just awful. The guy's a warrior, but I don't know how many years he had left in him anyway. There was talk that this might have been his last year. I mean, that's a grueling rehab to have to come back from, Donnie. I mean, I hope he does, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's the last of George Kittle.
Hey, I mean, you take a look at usually a 12-month injury on an Achilles here. You're talking about January. He's going to be back for the Super Bowl run next year for the 49ers. A tough injury to one of the best players in professional football. Let's go over to Marcus Freeman. I guess he's at his son's wrestling match. Police, filed reports at this point. Was he the aggressor? Was he not? Did he lay hands on somebody? Did he not? Never a good look to be in the spotlight, but we'll see as it plays out. But Marcus Freeman right now getting a little bit of unwanted attention.
Yeah, but the good news is for him, right? I mean, Notre Dame is backing him up in the situation here, and well, as well they should. I mean, what are we calling the cops for when we've got an issue with two men going at one? I don't understand, Donnie. The whole situation was a little head scratching, but I am sure there will be a check or free ticket somewhere in this, and it will go away.
Matthew Stafford, and we saw this a lot yesterday, quarterbacks with their follow-through, banging fingers on helmets here. He had an x-ray which came up negative, but still doing some tests here to see how healthy that throwing hand is going to be.
Yeah, covered that game on In-Game Live here and saw that happen, and it hurt. We saw the same thing happen, by the way, to Josh Allen yesterday at one point in the game against the Jags. Yes. All of a sudden now we're getting quarterbacks that are hitting their hands on the follow-through on helmets. And, that could be very problematic moving forward for both those quarterbacks.
Alex Bregman, he found a home in Chicago. Congratulations, Cubs, spending some cash out there. That's going to help out their lineup. Alex Bregman is now a Chicago Cub.
Yes, and you too will have an opportunity to fall just short, just like the Red Sox did. No, but the bottom line is we knew he was going to get paid, right? It was just a matter of who was going to write the check. Well, the Cubs certainly have plenty enough money to do it here. I don't know if this pushes them over the top, but it certainly makes it a very interesting upcoming lineup here for the Cubs.
Here's what I love about the judicial system here. You get denied multiple times. Just find a circuit court in an area that will approve or give you an injunction here. Chambliss trying to get that extra year of eligibility, going to every court he can find just to get that overturned.
Well, I get it, because he'll probably make more money in one more year in NIL than he would going to the NFL. But I think this kid should go to the NFL. I think the sooner he gets there, the better off it is. I mean, he's shown nothing but poise and ability, especially given the state of the quarterback in the NFL, Donnie. Go to the draft, man. I promise you there will be a team taking you in the draft this year, and you will be on your way to having a pro career. Why not?
Strike while the iron is hot. Last year, you started Lane Kiffin offense. You won't have that next year. We're not saying he's not going to be a bad football player and drop his draft, but you know it as well as I do. Strike while the iron's hot. Get to the pros, Chandler. Stop worrying about the circuit courts here. Chandler Morris, I have no idea who that is, and he should not be getting a 7th year of eligibility. I am glad he was denied of that. What do we do? Get a job, man. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Chandler Morris, I believe the now Virginia court. He's been with so many teams, Donnie, I can't even begin to tell you. Yeah, I believe that trying to get a 7th year is now pushing the envelope. I am glad at least they're drawing a line in the sand in the NCAA here, Donnie. Can't have 7 years and expect that to be a reality here with college football. Sorry.
Whatever happened to you graduate from high school? You got 5 years to play for. You want to take a red shirt? Good. You get an injury, we'll give you a waiver on that. Enough with that. Oh, but I get injured every single year. No, 28. You don't have the right to come back at that point. Exactly. 28 and still making a living out here at this point. Boogie Cousins, this is an interesting story, claims Rick Carlisle was sending him selfies while trying to recruiting him to his basketball team here. Kind of an odd story where if you only read the headline, not the actual article, it's like, man, was this one of those Brett Favre selfies he was sending? Apparently not. Thank goodness.
Yeah, but like context, Boogie, would be great. Like, you know what I mean? Like context would have been great here. Don't be throwing Rick Carlisle under the bus for no reason here. But no, that was, context matters, Donnie.
No, it absolutely does. And context matters on the Philadelphia Eagles and a disastrous season, which we'll get to later. What did the Packers do? My goodness, and the Chargers. Did you still take a bye into your wild card weekend? Apparently you did that as well. Spread lines are coming back up next. Donnie right side, Joe Ranieri. We'll be right back.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jalen Brown to do his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Spreadlines coming to you live early on a Monday here. It's an Armchair Quarterback Monday. It's Donnie right side. It is Joe Ranieri. It's the SportsGrid Network and the early line, but we got championship football still to talk about. Monday night championship football. Well, we got the wild card in the NFL. Next Monday night, it's going to be the Miami Hurricanes taking on the Indiana Hoosiers. And if you look at this spread line, Joe, 7.5 in the marketplace, which last night we actually saw some outlets sitting at 8.5. Indiana On the road, technically at a neutral site in Miami, total of 48.5. Looks like people just can't get enough of the Indiana Hoosiers. What's your early spread line for this one, Joe?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, this was the game that a lot of people thought ultimately that we would get to, and you got to love it, right? The U being back, you got Mario Cristobal, the head coach, who his career began at the University of Miami. He's got 2 national championships there. He promised a national championship opportunity as a coach, and he's delivering that. You have Mendoza, who's also happens to be from Miami, whose mother, I believe, and whole family is associated with the U. It all fits really, really well. But having said that, Donnie, the look-ahead line in this game was 5.5. And boy, oh boy, after that drubbing of the Oregon Ducks, we've seen 7.5, even an 8, a rogue 8 or 2 are out in the market with that total hovering around 48.5. So the question is, are we going to get enough Miami money to drop this thing under a touchdown, or is the hook going to remain and maybe this thing starts to climb a little bit more? I can tell you this, the public is only betting Indiana. They are the public darling here for sure. Deservedly so. I mean, what else do you expect them to do? But if you like Miami, I don't think there's a rush to have to bet it, Donnie, because this line might increase before we get to kick.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's over a touchdown already. And again, Miami, the pseudo-home team, even though it is going to be a divided, fan base as well as 50-50 and corporate and all that stuff as it weighs into it. But it is in Miami. That's next Monday night. So we got a whole week to talk about that national championship game. Tonight, we only got a couple more hours to talk about the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But it seems today that the Houston Texans still holding firm as a favorite of -3 on the road in a total of 38.5. If we look quickly at weather conditions, Joe, 30 degrees, no rain in the forecast, light wins tonight. What's your spread line tonight for Wild Card Weekend's final game?
Yeah, well, you got to love it, right? Hot win streak here. What are they, 8 in a row that they've rattled off, and the defense is certainly elite. And another one of these pros versus Joes divides here. The public loves the Texans. Well, the pros don't. The pros are backing the Steelers. The hook has been gone, Donnie, since early last week. We thought maybe it would go the other way, but it's clearly that line in the sand here. The total been creeping down here a little bit. And listen, if you like Houston to win this thing, then don't worry about it. Just simply bet it. We don't get in Wild Card Weekend teams that win but don't cover. So whoever you think is going to win, just go ahead. Don't be trying to sneak in with a cover one way or the other. If you're backing the Steelers, you better believe the Steelers can win this game. I do think that a majority of the market, though, is starting to come around. Donnie, this might get to 2.5 before kick, but I think ultimately it'll land at 3.
San Francisco 49ers, who beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia yesterday, got to travel back to San Francisco and then play a Saturday game against the Seattle Seahawks here. The early line opening at -7.5 as a favorite towards the Seahawks. They're rested as the 1 seed and a total of 45.5. What's your early spread line look to this game next Saturday?
Injuries is the problem here, right, with the Niners, Donnie, and they continue to pile up. What a defensive effort by them yesterday to frustrate the Eagles. But, once again, you're going to have to ask this 49ers offense. And we just saw this game a couple of weeks ago in Seattle, and I think, Donnie, it closed 3.5 at that time. Now it's 7.5, and that was a 13-3 game. But that's also the game where the 49ers lost a lot of their defensive players there, especially at the linebacker spot. So it's interesting. The hook is where it opened. The hook remains this morning here, Donnie, as we try to get a clearer picture of who's actually available, who's not. But one thing is for sure, the market isn't anticipating another one of these major upsets by the 49ers, but they are now one of 3 with Seattle and the Rams. 3 NFC West teams have advanced here, Donnie.
Hey, it's one of those games I look at that total and probably thinking more under here because the 49ers just don't have a lot of weaponry. You still have a very good defense in Seattle. And we just saw a carbon copy of the game they played, 13-3 at that point, where it's like, okay, we might see that one again, but we have a week to talk about that. And we'll certainly keep you up to date all throughout the week with any changes, with any injuries, or certainly any line movement there. Let's get to the association tonight, late night. Hornets and the Clippers tonight. This line opened up over a overnight look-ahead line, 5.5. We're now down to 4.5 at most outlets and a 223.5 price point on the total. Hornets, Clippers. Give me a spread line tonight for this one for you, Joe.
Well, ironic, Donnie, that line movement, right? Overnight, 5.5, wake up now, and the money is going towards the Hornets. Well, did you see the Hornets drop 150 on Utah the other night, which was kind of crazy? In the meantime, you've got the Clippers back home here who have made quite the resurgence here, playing a little defense. Kawhi Leonard appears to be healthy. He's averaging over 32.5 points a game now. They are 9-2 in their last 11. So, yeah, I mean, I was really shocked with the movement towards the Hornets early, but I also think the Hornets a little bit younger, a little more up-tempo. And boy, oh boy, don't be shocked here if the Hornets drop a number again, even on a slow-paced Clippers team. Hornets are starting to come together and getting healthy here, too, as well.
Sixers and the Raptors in the 6 tonight north of the border. Maybe could take that focus off of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Sixers will catch that wrath if they end up losing, having a bad rest of the season. They're 3.5 to 2.5 point favorites, depending on where you're shopping at right now, in a total of 220.5. Sixers, Raptors north of the border. What's a quick spread line on this one for you, Joe?
We just saw this game, Donnie, and we saw somehow Toronto pull it out in the end there. And now, well, back-to-back, Raptors looking to win the season series here. Tough to do. No Embiid yesterday. Wondering if he's going to be available today here, but no way should the Raptors have won that game last night. You got to like the Sixers' chances of bouncing back.
Availability is the best ability. We're available, and we'll be back after this short break for more on the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jaylen Brown to do his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Divisional round matchups are set. 2 games next Saturday, 2 games next Sunday. Those matchups are as follows. The Bills will take on the Broncos, who the Broncos are the number 1 seed coming off their bye. The 49ers will also take on the number 1 seed there in the Seattle Seahawks on a Saturday. Then 2 games on Sunday, the Rams at the Bears, and then the Steelers or the Texans will take on the New England Patriots. Man, it is as wide open as you could possibly get. Now, we'll go over these spreads as the week goes on, Joe, but the Bills are actually a favorite over the number 1 seed Broncos off a bye. Incredible stuff, which again just shows you how wide open this race could possibly be with a crazy championship here.
Yeah, and that is, I didn't think the Bills would be a dog the rest of the way through. Although it's kind of crazy because that Jacksonville money came in late, Donnie, pushing Jacksonville to a 2, even a 2.5 point favorite before kick. So the Bills were a dog there, but the minute they won that game, it doesn't look like, even as a 6 seed, it doesn't look like they're going to be a dog the rest of the way through here.
Yeah, crazy, man. What a comeback. All Josh Allen, man. That's all you need was Josh Allen, or Josh Hines Allen, I should say, going up against Josh Allen yesterday. Great day, great finish. But the game we're going to talk about first was the Sunday Night Football game. And after all the wild card games, this wasn't so wild. This probably put a lot of people to sleep, including myself. 16-3 victory for the New England Patriots over the Los Angeles Chargers, which the Chargers blew a lot of opportunities, including early in that game inside the 5-yard line, not able to capitalize with even a field goal, getting stopped. In a way, it was the New England Patriots. Not a lot of offense here, to say the least. Herbert, 19 of 31 for 159, no touchdown passes. Drake May, 17 for 29, 268. At least he did have a touchdown, but did have an interception that wasn't all that costly. And one of the anomalies of this game, both quarterbacks led their team in rushing. Low scoring, ugly football game, but the Patriots are moving on.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the running game was clearly in favor of the Patriots, which is odd given the fact that you thought the Chargers would be able to kind of impose their will a little bit on the ground, but they got outrushed 146-87. They even got outpassed 235-120. Neither offense, it was 6-3 at the half, Donnie. I mean, the defenses were really in control of this game, but both teams made a lot of mistakes, but ultimately the Patriots, they made a couple less mistakes. The defense was great. Unfortunately, Herbert was not. And now a lot of question marks about how healthy he was. Some interesting offseason questions here for the Chargers.
Yeah, first playoff win for the New England Patriots here since 2018 came with a double-digit victory. They closed around that 3.5 number, depending where you're shopping at last night. And it was a 63 game at the half, and actually 9-3 entering into the fourth quarter. That final touchdown by the Patriots put it away. A couple defensive stops. They were impressive on defense. And maybe it was, hey, Drake May's first time in the spotlight in the playoffs, just had to sort of get around to it. They came away with the victory, but the questions are going to keep coming up now. And Justin Herbert, so talented during the regular season, but something a little bit dysfunctional once you get to the playoffs. You see that graphic up there. 2022 lost to the Jags. 2024 lost to the Texans. 2025 lost to the Patriots. 0-3 for Justin Herbert. You want to get out of that funk. You don't want to be labeled that, looks like he's a little Lamar Jackson-ish in the playoffs. At least Lamar Jackson has a couple wins in the playoffs.
Yeah, it did not look good. He just didn't look comfortable from the get-go.
No.
I don't know if the hand was an issue, the fact that couldn't do a lot under center, but he was missing wide open guys. The play calling of Greg Roman was, suspect at best. Did not feel like anybody was on the same page here. I mean, listen, you're not in the postseason without Herbert, but my goodness, that was maybe the worst game we've seen him play all year.
Exactly. It looked like a little bit of frustration on his part, but also not much of an offensive line. But they were in the game all the way. And again, you take that early lead and punch in a touchdown, go up 7-0 on the road. You sort of flip that edge over to New England and their crowd, maybe to get a little bit antsy, but it never happened here. Drake May, as we said, 10 carries for 66 yards, needed that. Ramondre Stevenson was okay, 5.3 yards per carry, 10 carries at 53 yards. They ran for 5 yards per carry, if you include the quarterback, for 146 yards, and that was good enough. We just didn't see any explosiveness out of the Los Angeles Chargers. You were hoping Amari and Hampton would give you something, but he came into the game banged up. Vidal's been banged up to end the season. Herbert, that broken hand that he had, you just couldn't hold up because the wide receivers, which you wanted to lean on, Quentin Johnston, big play guy, 3 catches, 20 yards. That's not going to be good enough. The offense just wasn't there to even give the Chargers, it felt, a chance yesterday, Joe.
Yeah, it was. And a lot of bad throws by Herbert as well. He missed his opportunity with some guys. So credit to the defense, though, of New England. They showed up. They showed out for sure.
Rams and the Panthers. We had some late game shenanigans, block punts turning into touchdowns. Matthew Stafford leading his team, banged up finger here. And also, we're going to get to that collapse by the Packers on Saturday night as well. Armchair quarterback rolls along right here on the early line.
Okay, Dubs has to go back to his roots. I'm not a Jets fan, I'm not a Giants fan, and neither one of those teams even play in New York. But I'm a New Yorker through and through, despite where my mail gets sent. And I will not stand for the Jets to be dragged through the mud in this way. Not gonna happen. So Dante Moore, if you do leave, you should be so lucky to fly the plane.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Who are we looking at? We're looking at SGA because of his availability and consistency. It's Jalen Brunson due to his usage and his leadership. It's Jaylen Brown for how they're playing. It's Cade Cunningham because Detroit's in the top of the East. The MVP talk is going to be wild, and it'll be interesting to watch. MVPs just don't dominate. They survive the season.
Pro basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Steelers get their touchdown, and they miss the extra point. It was Lamar Jackson who made the plays to get the Ravens into what should have been easy field goal territory. So explain to me how in the world we can look at last night's game as, well, there you go, can't trust Lamar Jackson.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You wanted entertainment, you got it. And some of these wild card games were exactly that. Wild to the cards, baby. The Rams yesterday with a victory 34-31 over the Carolina Panthers, which saw you, by the way, Saturday game, right? I'm going to get that mixed up here. Saturday's game between the Rams and the Panthers. Loved what I saw out there from the offenses, but my goodness, Carolina had it there late in the football game. You thought they were going to steal another game, just like they did on November 30th against this same Rams team at home. We expected to get rain in the forecast. There was no rain. Matthew Stafford threw 42 times for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns, which included a game-winning drive. 28 total points scored in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns by each team. The Rams hold off the Carolina Panthers and advance in the NFC playoffs.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, it's Stafford once again making the plays when the game matters the most down the stretch, and that's exactly what he did there, and give Carolina credit. I mean, that was a different Bryce Young out on the field there for them, and almost had enough to be able to get it done. But ultimately, Stafford, when it mattered the most, he showed up the most here. Had some questionable throws and plays in that game, but you know, the last 2 drives of that game is what won it for the Rams. So when he needed it, Stafford delivers, and that's what experience brings to you in these spots in the postseason, right? A guy that's been there, done that before, Donnie, MVP candidate, and he showed it once again in that game.
Hey, it really did. Look, veteran guys stepping up, play callers making plays, wide receivers making plays. Puka Nacua, 10 catches for 111 yards. Devontae Adams back off that hamstring injury, 5 for 72. Higbee, Parkinson, they spread the wealth around and came away with a victory, which is the most important thing that you can do. Now, questions are going to come up. Matthew Stafford, you saw him in that game, banged up that throwing hand here. Thank goodness it wasn't anything broken, maybe a little swelling today. Should be fine for next weekend. So it looks like they avoided some disaster there, Joe.
Yeah, no, they did. And yeah, we saw that a couple times. Saw it with Josh Allen as well in the Jacksonville game. But yeah, he kept shaking it, going, oh boy, man, please tell me that hand is going to be okay. But it was certainly okay enough to be able to finish the game with a couple of touchdown throws. But you know what happens with that. That thing probably, swelled up after the game. But hopefully he'll be all right moving forward.
Raiders considering the defensive coordinator here for the Carolina Panthers with a chance to be their head coach. Probably won't happen at this point, but he's getting some looks, and I don't know, maybe he's a hot coordinator. Who knows? I didn't think the Carolina Panthers were that devastatingly good on defense this year, but it is what it is. Look at an interview, probably won't get the job. Let's get to that Chicago Bears-Green Bay Packers game. Saturday Night Football, one of my favorite games of the week. Early in the week, I secured a plus money number on the Green Bay Packers. Watch that game play out in the first half. Looked like one of the easiest victories and handicaps I was going to have. 21-3, the Packers had the football, driving, kicked the field goal, made it, but there was a timeout, kicked the field goal, missed it. Okay, you still have a 21-3 lead in halftime, heading into the second half, where you get the football first, and all hell broke loose, including multiple double-digit leads up in smoke for the Green Bay Packers, but I do have to give credit for Caleb Williams. This is just what the Bears do. You give them a little bit of a chance in the crack in the door, they will kick it open, and they did. The Packers absolutely stumbled all over the place in the second half, which included 3 missed kicks by Brandon McManus. They're going home once again as a 7th seed, and the Bears move on.
Yeah, and listen, I'll point to you took possession with the ball with 4 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. You were up by 3. The Bears had all 3 of their timeouts. All you had to do was just force them to use timeouts, keep moving the chains there, and you're in a good spot. But you're taking deep shots like it's week 4 in a meaningless game against the New York Jets. Like, what are you doing here? So did not understand the play calling, and then ultimately it ended up burning them in the end. But you can't blow a 15-point lead heading into the fourth quarter, Donnie. We gave you the number 102-2 since 2000. From 2000 to 2024, teams leading by 15 heading into the fourth quarter, they don't lose very often, but that's exactly what LaFleur and Green Bay figured out a way to do.
Chicago scored 3 points in the first quarter. They didn't score in the second. They scored 3 in the third. They scored 25 in the fourth quarter, unheard of. And you're right, Joe. Sometimes in the second half, the whole key is you never want to take your foot off the gas pedal. We understand that. But also at the same time, you still want to keep momentum. And sometimes it's just as simple as, let's get 1 or 2 first downs. Let's flip field position. Let's make them go 75 to 80 yards every single time they have the football with less time on the clock. The Packers got the football, and it felt like for that entire third quarter, went 3 and out, but they didn't even just go 3 and out. They went 3 and out and went backwards and took absolutely no time off the clock. The one thing that surprised me a lot is not that Jacobs got 19 carries in that game, but how ineffective the running game was for the Green Bay Packers. This wasn't a good defense at all by Chicago. Banged up and losing players as the game went on. But again, credit is due for the Chicago Bears. They came back and took that game from the Packers. And the Packers, again, double-digit lead with 6 minutes to go, just needing a stop. A 4th and 8 for the Chicago Bears that saw Caleb Williams get forced out of the pocket and throw an absolute 40-yard dime down the field for a completion, which put them back into the football game. You stop them there, you win. You didn't. And here we are on our way out at this point for those Green Bay Packers. Yep. Let's hear about McManus. He missed 3 kicks on that Saturday night game. What do you have to say?
Yeah, it's emotional. It's disappointing that my role in the team is to make kicks, and these guys pour in, thousands of plays over the course of the season, and I leave 7 points on the board today. So, like I said, most disappointing part of my career ever.
He's right.
Donnie, since 2016, visiting kickers at Soldier Field are only 54% from 40 to 45 yards in the regular season and playoffs. It is one of the hardest places for visiting kickers to get going. So, and listen, I mean, it's no excuse, but it is a reality here. It's not an indoor arena or anything along those lines. So it just, they didn't get it done, but they had more than enough opportunities outside of Brandon McManus to get that game closed out.
Here's the winning coach, Mr. Ben Johnson, talking about some of the noise up north.
There was probably a little bit more noise coming out of their building up north to start the week, which we heard loud and clear, players and coaches alike. So this one meant something to us.
Cardiac Bears. That's just what they do. And it's 21-3. The game should be over at that point. You're dominant. They can't get out of their own way. And also, like Ben Johnson, putting his team in the worst possible scenario time and time again. Terrible play calls and going for a fourth down on their own 30-yard line. This Packers should have walked away easily, but they didn't. And you do have to give some credit to the Bears who put themselves in this position all season long, only to have massive comebacks. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, that was not a very happy handshake at the end of that game. Seemed to be a little short and curt when those two guys met at center. So, but you went 1-2 against the Bears this year, and you should have went 3-0. That has to change, Donnie, moving forward. It has to change.
Yeah, let's hear from Matt LaFleur at this point. Probably worried a little bit about his future in Green Bay.
That's not the focus right now, to be honest with you. We're fresh off this loss. My sole focus is our players, our team, and just trying to find ways to get better.
Have you met with Benson Spear?
We talked briefly on the plane, and there's going to be a time when we're going to get together either later tonight or tomorrow sometime.
There's no shame in making the playoffs in the NFL. It's an achievement here. The shame is that you just have a team beaten down and you let it go because the criticizing is on the coaching staff for the play calling here. That's where you get it. That's why people are upset today with the Green Bay Packers. If they would have went wire to wire in that game and the Bears just held them off at length, you just couldn't win it. You live with that. You can't live as a Packers fan or an organization with a 21-3 lead, and also how wide open this year's playoff run could possibly be, where they could have went on a run, stamped out on a Saturday night in Chicago.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's not all him. I mean, Romeo Doubs going out of bounds, untouched, sliding out. Matthew Golden going out of bounds and stopping the clock. You know, it wasn't all his fault, but you got to coach better than that. I'm sorry, LaFleur. You got to get it done.
Yeah, you're right, because I even sent out a tweet while that was going on live. Like, you love the plays there, but if you stay in bounds, that's 40 seconds off the clock, and the Bears can't come back. And yet they still came back and won that game. More hot topics on the way next on the early line.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Incredible wild card weekend in the NFL, and it's not done yet. We have one more game in wild card weekend on a Monday Night Football out at Acrisure Stadium here. It's going to be the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm Donnie Rightside. He's Joe Ranier. We welcome in Tom Vecchio to talk wild card weekend action and what happened, man. What a weekend it was. Wasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, great weekend. Last night's game was a little bit lackluster. It was certainly very exciting. There was a lot going on. Just didn't have the same juice as what we games prior to that, but really good stuff. The opening lines for next week's game have already been on the move. Seahawks are now 7.5-point favorites. Surprised to see the Rams drop from 4.5 to 3.5, and obviously these numbers will continue to move throughout the week, but we have one more game tonight to close out the weekend.
Yes, we do. And looking at that wild card Saturday time, the Rams went on the road, picked off the Panthers here. Late game heroics for the Rams was great. You saw the Chicago Bears 25 points in the fourth quarter. They had 6 points going into the fourth quarter and scored 25 points. So if we want to start with wild card Saturday here, Tom, expected for the Rams to win. Yes, maybe the Panthers getting 10 points was too much, but I know we talked multiple times last week, and a lot of us really like the Packers and look like really smart individuals until that collapse in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, terrible collapse, and really there's blames go around on everyone. I would say blames go around basically except Jordan Love. Like, he played awesome, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, but bad coaching, bad play calling, the kicking, getting out of bounds, not getting out of bounds. There's blame to go around on basically everyone, including the defense, and they need to fix a lot in Green Bay. And obviously you're gonna say, oh well, they weren't at full health, they didn't have Parsons. If Parsons is in there, what kind of pressure could they bring? That changes things on the defensive side, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of changes needed in Green Bay.
Yeah,
going to be a lot of changes needed in a few spots there. But this game tonight is going to be real interesting, Tom, because it was the hook was available early. It disappeared midweek. There's still Steeler money coming in. It'll be interesting to see if maybe it hits 2.5. It'll likely land 3. But the total creeping down a little bit. So what are we going to get? How much can we trust this Houston team outdoors in these conditions?
I mean, I don't know if I can trust anyone in this game. And a lot of people are going to be looking to back Tomlin at home as a home dog. Recent results in the playoffs specifically for Tomlin are very bad. 0-6. He's not covering the number in any of those games. So there are bad trends recently. There are good trends overall for Tomlin. I can't trust the Steelers offense. I can't trust the Houston offense in any capacity. I can trust the Houston defense. I think that's the best component of anything in this game when it's all said and done. I can't trust Kaimi Fairbairn to kick field goals outside. Boswell even missed some stuff last week against the Ravens. I don't know who I can trust. I can trust that we're not going to be seeing a whole lot of points, right? And if this game does go over, I think it's going to sneak over super late. And if you have the under and you end up losing tonight, I'm going to say you handicapped it right. It's just a bad beat. That's what it comes down to. So I'm seeing this game low scoring, 17-14, 20-13, somewhere around there. I will say if Houston wins, I do think that they will cover. Obviously the push is available, but if you have that hook potential to get it with the Steelers, absolutely take it.
It just feels like to me, Tom, tonight, you try to play the game out in your head. We know Houston has an awesome defense and a great pass rush, and you have Aaron Rodgers as one of those, guys that's just going to be a sitting duck in the pocket. It feels to me like this could be a game tonight. 10 targets, 7 catches, 58 yards for Kenneth Gainwell out of the backfield because he's just not going to have enough time. There's not enough playmakers to be had. But if we are looking at the Texans, I am surprised in a way that they are the favorites. Let's call it 3 points, because I trust Aaron Rodgers in this environment. It feels like you're going to watch this game play out 2 ways. Hey, yeah, Houston was the better team. They won easily going away by 7+ points. Or there's no in between, like, hey, this is a 17-14 game in the fourth quarter and CJ Stroud can steal it. I feel more likely that we're going to watch this game like, yep, that's the Houston offense we saw all year. Outside of Nico Collins, they have nothing. They couldn't move the football, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's like the Steelers can win this game multiple ways. I don't know if the same thing can be said about Houston. Like I can expect Rodgers to put up 13 points, and that may be good enough just because we can't trust CJ Stroud. When it comes to the offense, I have a lot of trepidation trusting anyone outside of Nico Collins. If we want to turn to some props that I like, let's get to Woody Marks, their rookie running back, under 15.5 rush attempts. We look back at what we've seen from him, and it's, he's been good this season, but they're also mixing in Nick Chubb. They're also mixing in Jordan. So when we've seen Woody Marks and his snap count never be higher than, let's call it 80%, I have a tough time trusting that the Texans will give a rookie running back 16 or 17 rush attempts on the road, knowing in a must-win game. So I like Woody Marks overall. I just expect him to have like 13 or 14 carries, and then Nick Chubb to be there, Jordan to be there, and they're going to mix everyone across the board.
Metcalf, to me, is the X factor for Pittsburgh, right? Because not having him the last couple of games, they have to respect his downfield and his speed and his ability. They can't just keep cheating up to the line and trying to take away the short stuff here. So does he have a big game? How do you approach Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers here tonight?
So I'm not sure if he has a big game. He's probably going to see a lot of Derek Stingley Jr., the top corner for the Texans, who's one of the top corners in the entire league when it's all said and done. But, I like Metcalf specifically to catch a pass on the first drive. It's a little bit of a specific market. Some people might call it a bit of a sicko market. You are getting plus 160 at it. But to your point, because they haven't had him, like DK Metcalf was the most relieved guy in Pittsburgh after they came away with that win. Like they need to at least get him involved early. Whether or not he has a massive game is yet to be seen, and I honestly don't expect him to go for 80, 90, 100 yards, but they need to at least have flow in the offense and knowing that he's a threat and showing the Texans that they're willing to go to him and willing to challenge Stingley in that defense, that Metcalf can be a threat for the Steelers. Because if it's not going to be that, Donnie, to your point, it's going to be Gainwell coming out of the backfield. I was super high on Gainwell last week against the Ravens. So it's got to be Metcalf early, and then that's when, once you have that respect, that's when the running game and the other options will open up.
Yeah, looking at those secondary options here, particularly for the Houston Texans, they got a lot of other guys at wide receiver as opposed to Nico Collins, who's listed at a 72.5. I like Jaden Higgins at that 30.5 price clip. I think makes a lot of sense. But I think, Tom, we can be in agreement tonight. We're not looking at a lot of big plays, back and forth, 62-yard catches here. A lot of slow-down Pittsburgh football that might be relying on some of those kickers tonight. So getting into the 40s might be a little bit tough, Tom. If we are looking at any other options coming up this weekend, Tom, do you have your eye on a line or two early in the week?
The fact that the Rams dropped from 4.5 to 3.5, listen, I love the Rams, and then as many points as I can get with the 49ers. I hope the line moves to 8.5.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hey, look, it's wide open out there. There's some money to be made, Tom. Thanks for rising and grinding with us on a Monday morning right here on the early line. We'll be right back after this short break.
Maybe the fact was that the kicker just blew a 44-yard field goal. Now, by the way, I feel horrible for this kid, Tyler Loop, who made every single field goal this season 44 yards or less. But the extra point that was missed just before that by Chris Boswell was the only extra point that he missed all season long. So did they bless that same holy water when Boswell missed the extra point? Come on, guys. Let's get it.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They have one more win than Chicago, and they literally beat Chicago in Week 17, and yet the Niners are on the road and the Bears are at home. Why? Because of an outdated rule that says, well, winning your division is the holy grail. Rewarding an 8-win division winner with a home playoff game is like giving the corner office to the guy who won the office fantasy pool instead of the guy who actually closed the accounts all year.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's going to open up Pandora's box. But I will say this. I do believe players that sign now, like Najee, should not be eligible now, but should have to sit out and come back in next year. It's just a slippery slope. And I agree with people like Tom Izzo. I don't like it at all.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
The Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars got Wild Card Sunday started off in style here. You had a close game at the half, a close game all the way out, and another game that had a wild fourth quarter, which saw both teams score 2 touchdowns. The Jacksonville Jaguars scored a touchdown, figuring that was going to be enough to win the football game. Hey, Buffalo Bills just can't score a touchdown. We're going to win this game. The Buffalo Bills countered back with a late touchdown to win 27-24. The Bills, as a slight underdog at game time, they get the cover and the victory outright. The total, 50s, 51s, 51.5, 52s, depending on where you're shopping at, that certainly played a part. But if I would have told you, Joe Ranieri, James Cook's going to run for 46 yards and Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for 3 touchdown passes, you probably figured Jacksonville came away with an easy victory. They didn't, because Josh Allen would not allow that to happen. He threw a touchdown pass, ran for 2 more, got beat around the pocket all game long, but was still standing and delivering when it mattered most.
Experience. This is what he does. This is what Buffalo does this time of year. I mean, it's ironic that it's been forever since they've played a wild card game or any playoff game that hasn't been in Orchard Park or Kansas City. But this was their first test, and they passed. But, you know, Jacksonville left a lot of points on the field in that first half. I think that they'd like to have back, and that was really the difference in the game.
Yeah, I'd like Lawrence to throw for over 1.5 touchdown passes. He did that. Travis Etienne, 10 carries, 67 yards. All you can ask for is 6.7 yards per carry. As a team, the Jaguars ran for 154 yards, which also equated to 6.7 yards per carry. Parker Washington, 7 for 107. He was fantastic. It just wasn't enough because, and the Bills, by the way, like, this feels like it is a Josh Allen team because we said, okay, Cook's going to get a lot of carries and a lot of yards. That'll help. That didn't happen. It felt like it was Josh Allen willing that team to victory, and down the stretch, he provided the drama all to himself. Look at that. When trailing against the Jaguars, 14 of 16, a $195 in total yards, 3 total touchdowns, and a passer rating of 133.1. That's what you need. Back against the wall. Give me my MVP quarterback.
And listen, we knew going into that game, Jacksonville was the #1 rushing defense in the NFL. They weren't going to have a lot of success running the ball. So they needed Josh Allen to do exactly what he did. They needed his arm, they needed his legs, and he delivered on both fronts.
And by the way, just reading lines, right? You always like to get that early line look. That line doesn't make any much sense here. The Denver Broncos are the #1 seed in the AFC. The Denver Broncos sat back last week and had a bye week while the Buffalo Bills had to go on the road and play an ultra-talented team in the Jacksonville Jaguars. They won that game. It's okay. Denver by a field goal or so, home field advantage. Not the case. The Buffalo Bills are the favorites over the Denver Broncos. And if you're just reading that line, that is a stone cold Bills line early in the week for me, Joe.
It is. And, listen, it was the same thing last week. A lot of people are like, how is Jacksonville not a fair? And it maintained right up until, yesterday, Donnie, when all of a sudden the Jacksonville money came pouring in, and all of a sudden Buffalo's 1.5, 2.5 point dogs. Maybe the original line was the right line with the Bills.
Yeah, we both myself and Joe Lease were on the desk there for Pro Football Today on Saturday, and all week long, it was a favorite for the Buffalo Bills. While we were doing the show live, Joe, I remember the timestamp, 10:49 a.m. That line flipped from a favorite of Buffalo back over to Jacksonville. I said, you know what? That does feel about right. And I thought Jacksonville was the better team and the better side yesterday, and for a majority of that game, they were. But when you have clutch environments there where your quarterback has to provide all of those fireworks, you exactly got that there from the Buffalo Bills. And again, a lot of people coming into that game itself, Joe, the word on the street was, you know what? The winner of that Bills-Jacksonville game just might win the AFC and be the AFC's team to represent in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and listen, give credit to that Buffalo defense that has been very good over the last couple of weeks. They are bend, but don't break. And they made enough plays when it mattered the most against that team to hold Jacksonville down just long enough, including the pick at the end to end it. That's, they've been there and done this before, and that matters this time of year.
Buffalo Bills are the favorite. I'm interested to see what those weather conditions are going to look like in Denver. Do we get one of those warm days or not? Because quite frankly, the Bills have the perfect cold weather quarterback in Josh Allen anywhere. If you're the Denver Broncos, you probably don't want it to be a 30-degree, snowy weather game. Bo Nix has some mobility, but Josh Allen is that ultimate weapon. But rest versus a team that played last week, we'll find out if that comes into play. As the Denver Broncos, once again, as we said, plus 1.5 in that game in a total, currently sitting at 46.5. The top of the hour is coming up next, and we are going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers. Anger from me? Absolutely. Exhausting from me? Absolutely. Relieved? Just maybe. Hour number 2 next.